everyone, and welcome to the February episode of the Nightmares to Miracles podcast. My name is Brittany Van Rees, and I'm here with Dr. Dave Asomaning, and today we're going to talk more about miracle mindsets. We do this every single month, and we go over a lesson from A Course in Miracles and apply it to our businesses and organizations as leaders and entrepreneurs. And we also apply it to what's going on in the world and the headlines. And we just like to bring our themes like peace and love and forgiveness to these things that are happening in our ever changing, ever crazy world, it seems like. So today will be no different. And Dave has an awesome lesson planned to teach you guys from the Course in Miracles, from A Course in Miracles. So first, Dave, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us more about what you do as an executive coach with a specialty in miracle mindsets.
Thank you, Brittany. Good to see you again.
Likewise.
Uh, Loving our process. Very rich, very powerful, and thank you for everything you bring to this. And we'll talk more in depth in a moment about the miracle journey we've been on together. Um, so, yeah, as an executive coach, I'm coming to this by way of having been trained as a psychoanalytic pastoral psychotherapist. A bit of a mouthful, but I specialized in my training in individual psychotherapy, group psychotherapy, and marriage and family psychotherapy. Um, and then at the same time, I was doing a Ph.D. in psychoanalysis and religion. And all of this sort of gears you up to be a professor of pastoral counseling or pastoral psychotherapy, things like that. And then the psychoanalytic part acknowledges Freud in the process and the place of psychoanalysis, but tries to marry it to a theological framework as well. So, with all of that as the background, I was also on the path to seeking ordination as an Episcopal priest in the Episcopal Church in the Diocese of Connecticut. And at one point, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm just going to create my own business because I want to be the boss of my thing. And the church, it was an amazing process, and I still have a lot of respect for the church, but they had very specific ideas about what they wanted to see in priests, potential priests. And what I was doing was not it. You know, the scholarly, the therapeutic, or psychotherapeutic, and then the actual priestly. They were like, yeah, there's too many things you want to integrate. If you want to be a priest, you have to show us, even if it's undercover, you have to show us that you want to be a priest and nothing else. All this other stuff, I was like, oh, okay. So thank you for letting me know. Uh, SynchroMind, we can put whatever we want into SynchroMind. So again, no hate or anything like that, but just, one of the things that changes your navigation a little bit. So executive coaching, it's moved from more of a therapeutic type of thing, anxiety, depression, even some schizophrenia and things like that, to, in other words, working with clients who have those diagnoses, to executive coaching, working with people who are building things, who are running things. And then even there, having moved in the last 5, 6 years into working with the ultra rich. Um, Long backstory to that. And I try to share a little bit on each of these shows about the origin story. Today, I'm going to share a part of the origin story that has to do with miracle mindset, like I did the last time. And this is the German story. And for those, again, those of you who know the German story, I won't bore you with endless details about it, but I'll just sort of get to the punchline of what that is in a moment. But with wealthy clients, I'm beginning to understand some consistent themes for them. So some might have health issues, some might have um, money issues, even though they're extremely wealthy, $20 million, 40 million, 100 million, whatever. They still have anxieties and pressures about money, about balance, about being able to relax and enjoy the fruits of their labors. These are very consistent things in which the push to become successful becomes a bit of an albatross later on. It's like, I can't let it go. I can't stop thinking about, I can't just enjoy. And so again, I feel really honored and privileged to be able to have clients, all of whom I love, to be able to help with this. because miracle mindset is really about ultimately surrendering to God and all the wonderful things God has, or higher power, or the universe, whatever lingo you like, has provided for us without us having to struggle. Right? That's the heart of the thing, and so it's just a perfect match in so many ways to be able to help this specific cohort. In addition to bringing miracle mindset to if there are medical issues or financial issues or relationship issues. So, really loving the work and loving this podcast and all of that. So, I'll just share a quick bit about the German miracle, which is kind of an early breakthrough for me. So, in a nutshell, and then I'll hand over to you, Brittany, to see if you have any reactions, or no pressure on that either. So, in 1992, when I started the Ph.D. program in New York City, I knew that I had to pass French and German scholarly translation exams as part of the condition for being matriculated into the PhD program. So I was accepted. It was a very competitive, very tough, but I was in. But within the first semester, I was required to pass these two languages. And I was a little nervous. I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm not that keen on languages in general. And I don't know. Let's see what happens. So I took the French, and miraculously, I passed it. And it's an ancient scholarly text by like an ancient pope or a bishop from the second century AD or something they've written, and you're like with a dictionary and you're like going through it. If you get 70% of it right, you're good. And it's in French, the one I took. And so I passed it. I was like, yeah, okay, great. One down, one to go. I took the German a couple of weeks later and I failed it miserably. The instructor who was grading it just put a red pen through and was like failed. And then I get an official letter from the seminary saying, yeah, you failed this, you have to take it again. And remember, you'll be on probation until you pass it. And you're supposed to pass this in your first semester. Okay. So within a few weeks, I scheduled to take it again, took it, failed it the same way. And now I'm beginning to get a little anxious, and I'm like, okay, I need to settle down and get a tutor. And I plan to take the summer program, 6 to 8 weeks of German. What a boring summer, man, to spend it doing German. I was like, I mean, and people would start to like, I know in their minds, they would start to run when they would see me. Dave can't pass his German exam. And it's the only thing that's on his mind. And he's going to like just inundate you with the story of how he's struggling and he can't do it, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, that went on for a while. I'm now in my second year. I haven't been fired yet, but I'm worried, because I have made no progress on passing this exam. As much as I study with an individual tutor, I've taken the summer course, blah, 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 blah. So uh, I'm panicking. I'm unhappy. I feel miserable. I'm like, I did all this work to get here, and this 2 hour exam is holding me up. My life is a mess. I'm never going to make it. It's blah, blah, blah. So one day I'm on Broadway, uh, around 114th Street, maybe. It's in the Columbia University area. And love to browse in different shops and things like that. And I walk into the shop and they have a carousel with cassette tapes on it. And I'm just looking at them, and one of them catches my eye. It says, Learn German. And it's $14, and it says subconscious hypnotherapy or something like that. And I know nothing at all about this topic. Um, but I take it home and I'm like, yeah, why not? I've been trying everything else. So I started counting my days, and it was like, do 30 days at a time. You can do another 30 days if you want to. So I'm listening to the hypnosis, and then there's a subliminal track with classical music, but messages purportedly embedded in there. And I listen to both things regularly. And then I begin to get insight into why I'm blocked, right? Because as a 10-year-old, I was exposed to German in boarding school. I was being bullied at the same time. So every time I look at German, I got some PTSD along with it. Incidentally, I was also doing French at the same time in boarding school, but it wasn't as traumatic for whatever reason. So still haven't figured that out fully. But so within 60 days of using this hypnotherapy therapy stuff, I took the exam again. And this time this was the third time, I got a very nice note from the instructors like, I can see you've been taking this, and I can tell you right now that you're like within inches of reaching the crossing line. So if you do whatever you've been doing and you continue, the next time you come, I'm pretty confident you'll pass it, especially if I'm grading it, right? So double down, used everything I was learning about how to study for this, and then my mind had completely shifted. I was like not panicky. I wasn't frustrated. I was in a state of flow. Took it that fourth time and passed it, right? So this made hypnotherapy a cornerstone of my method for changing myself and for helping other people. It was like, it was the quickest, fastest, easiest thing that helped me. And the premise of this work is that the subconscious mind has a lot of things buried in it that we can't see and that we don't know about. And when we're aiming for a goal, a weight reduction goal, an exercise goal, a money goal, there are all kinds of subconscious forces militating against what we want. And if we don't release those, fix them, heal them, whatever, we'll try and try and try, and we'll be frustrated with what we're doing. It won't work. Now, I don't mean to talk smack about my department, but it's a department. The degree was a degree in healing, basically. And I'm gently saying that I was surprised that nobody, not my 10 other PhD colleagues, not my advisor, nobody mentioned to me that I might be blocked and that there was this thing that I needed to unblock. Maybe they did and I didn't remember it. But in terms of the hypnotherapy, that was pure divine happenstance, if you will, just stumbling on something. Um, and last thing I'll say here is that I must have ordered about 100 different cassettes. It was cassettes at the time, 1993, 94. I must have ordered 100 cassettes from the catalog of this company, how to sell, how to do this, how to all the things I mentioned before, weight loss, exercise, how to study. And out of the many different hypnosis programs I listened to, there's one that stuck with me over these last 30 years that I still use. Their catalog has changed. They use MP3s now. And this one is called Money Prosperity. And I share it with anybody who has ears to hear and wants to listen. And a lot of my wealthy clients embrace it. And I'm like, okay, you're already at $100 million. Why are you listening to this, multiple times a day even? And they're like, yeah, it's very soothing. It's very comfortable, comforting. It helps me get in touch with things that I'm clear I need to release. So anyway, that's the miracle story around how I got connected to hypnosis and hypnotherapy, learning about it, using it for myself and as an adjunct in the work for clients. So let me stop here, see if you have any comments, anything you want to say, ask, and we'll go on.
Yeah, I've heard this story before. It's such an amazing, inspiring story. And I'm curious with the tapes, was it in English or was it in German?
The tapes were completely, totally in English.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was interested in learning Japanese,
Uh-huh.
and he has a Japanese program. And I don't know whether they elaborated this later on, but part of the way they do it is they have Japanese phrases, like the
Hmm.
everyday phrases that you will need as a traveler. And
Hmm.
then they have English translations of those, all as part of the hypnosis. But what I was stimulated to do with the German hypnosis was to do my own side by side comparisons of English, German text,
Hmm.
translate it myself, and then check with the English text. So I
Mm.
bought dual language books and used those during the time I was preparing with the hypnosis. And somehow it must have made those suggestions
Mm.
to me, because
Okay.
that's the one thing that was different in how I prepared this
Mm.
time around. Because then I knew with confidence that I was translating easily within 70% accuracy. Uh, so
But
good
the
question.
the Learn German tape was in English with
Yes,
suggestions on, you will learn German, like things like
yes.
that. It would say, okay. Hmm.
Yeah, and anything that's blocking you is
Hmm.
released and let
Mm.
go,
Okay.
and anything that's in the way, that's a lot of the bottom line of these things, that nothing
Okay.
will prevent you from learning it. You are capable of learning it through infinite intelligence within you. It's all the
Yeah.
things we talk about,
Okay.
ACIM. And this was even before I was doing A Course in Miracles, you know?
Wow. I'm trying to put myself back into that time in New York in that shop and then thinking somebody just had a field day and was like, I'm going to make as many tapes as I can of all the things that somebody might want to do. And
Right.
I wonder how many people were like, oh, I actually do want to learn German and hypnotize myself to do that. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Nowadays, with technology, it's easier to kind of mass
Yes.
produce these things and insert
Totally.
variables. But back then, I wonder what the workflow was like to make that catalog.
Yeah. Imagine very intense. He had to be a hard worker on a lot of levels. And on their website, I just read recently actually that at the time I was doing it, they probably had sold 1 million copies of their different cassettes at
Mm,
that time, which is that's a good business for a
yeah.
$10 price point or $14 price point. Yeah, and he has a more colorful backstory, which I'm just learning about. And he's passed away by now, Konikov, the guy who does it, but his daughter has taken over the family business. But yeah, very interesting. So thank you for that comment and that question. And then you use hypnotherapy, right? I don't mean to get too
Yeah.
far ahead of myself with your story, but anything you want to share there?
Yeah, I'm using this Christian hypnobirthing app, and it's probably um, different because she says it in the beginning that it's not meant to be thought of as hypnosis. She said the word hypno in this case, let me Google hypno root Latin and see if something comes up. Um, so yeah, hypno means sleep. But basically, she was the creator said that this was just a way to associate birth with relaxation,
Mm,
not necessarily in the woo woo world. Not that I'm opposed to that, but I think
yeah,
she was just trying to distinguish it. So the tracks are probably similar in the sense that you're trying to relax and
yeah,
enter a state of relaxation and basically undo all the programming that the world teaches you about birth and how in the movies it's always chaotic and painful and
sure.
almost wrong, but in real
Yeah,
life it can be very peaceful and serene and a divine experience. So
yeah,
that's what that's about, and that's been really nice. And some people choose to listen to it while they're giving birth, the tracks. I probably am just going to go with music myself, but
mm,
yeah. So that's been my experience. But I definitely listen to other subliminals and wealth subliminals, and I swear by these things as well.
yeah,
Um, I've tried many times to get into the Ho'oponopono because I know you love that one as
yeah,
well, but something about it is just like, I don't know, maybe it doesn't speak to my specific aim enough because
yeah,
it's more about love and forgiveness, right? And cleansing. It's more cleansing than attracting something specific. So I guess I'm more attracted to the ones that are with the intention of a certain outcome.
sure.
But yeah, I've tried that one as well though.
Good, good. Well, thanks for sharing that. That
Mhm,
makes perfect sense.
mhm,
I get it. And a lot of these are suggestive, right? Where everybody finds their own thing that they like and the thing that works for them. And uh, based on the suggestion of things I've used
mhm,
that
mhm,
uh, I'm the laboratory, they worked for me,
mhm.
but they might not work for another person, kind of thing.
Mhm.
So that makes all the sense. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's really
Yeah, I've
powerful.
I've got one more quick
Yeah,
story that came
yeah,
to mind as you were
sure.
talking about the tapes. And this is so funny, and I haven't thought of it in years, but when I was younger, my dad was like very into the internet before a lot of people were. So I
Mhm.
had like almost what's the word? Unobserved access to the internet from a very young age. And I would
Mhm.
look at um, all types of things. And I somehow was able to like order on my own accord when I'm probably like 10 years old. I ordered an audio tape about mind control.
Really?
And back in whatever year this was, you had to wait for it to come in the mail. And
Yeah.
I just remember the time between when I ordered the mind control audio
Mhm.
tape to when it came, I was like, this is gonna be so cool. I'm gonna be rich. I'm gonna be able to mind control my way into robbing banks. This was
That's
what I
beautiful.
was thinking. And I don't remember actually what the product ended up being, but I know that I was very disappointed. And that was probably like my first buyer's remorse I ever experienced in life. I don't
Uh,
remember what was on the tape, to be honest, but I
yeah.
remember the period of time from when I ordered, when I learned about, when I saw the landing page and when it came, I was like, wow,
Wow.
I'm going to learn how to do mind control. And my dad would always take me to magic shops and stuff and magic
Wow.
shows. So that's another funny one. But
I
yeah,
love that
pretty fun.
story. That's great. It's a wonderful, wonderful story. Thank you for sharing that with us. Again, it vibrationally and energetically, it helps to even make more sense why we have some alignment, right? Because earlier in our lives, we're both sort of open to raising vibration through various types of mind training uh, and control and things like that. So yeah, no, I get it. I love that. Wow. Well, wonderful. Okay, yeah. If anything else occurs to you, we'll just patch it in as we go along. So we're going to move now to the miracle journey we've been on together, which is one of my favorite segments of our show. We have many different segments, probably 10 different segments that could keep choosing from. And this is one of the ones I go to consistently every time. I'm like, okay, not ready to switch on this one and use something else, or not giving this one up just yet. So basically, the story, and again, for those who have heard it over and over again, the issue is not that I'm just stubbornly trying to bore you with this repeating story, number one. Number two, it's a little bit like what a professor of mine referred to as scripturalizing, right? The process by which something becomes sacred text. It becomes part of a story because there's something so amazing in what's happened that it gets repeated and repeated and repeated. And then people use it to teach the miraculous. So it's, again, not to engage in anything that's heretical or profane or denigrating the sacred scriptures that we have in different traditions. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but it's the process of something having become very sacred over time that we can keep going to and talking about, preaching on in the church in particular, and things like that. So it's just our own scripture, sort of informal way of being very grateful. The more grateful we are, the more these types of things happen. So in a nutshell, we connected when I was looking for your services to help me with my worksheets, which were not that sophisticated or that effective. And these were worksheets I'd send out by email to clients and say, "Hey, look, this is what we're going to work on and how we're going to do it." It's like little curriculum outlines for different sections, whether it's health stuff or wealth stuff or relationship stuff. And I mean, I was surprised. I was really pleasantly, joyfully surprised when you returned the things to me. Everything was so beautiful and compared to what it had been. And I was like, wow. I just sent you a ton of stuff, like as much of my stuff as I possibly could to bring it under this new aesthetic, very pleasing aesthetic. Uh, and that made me really proud of the work and the content of it and to share it with people every chance I could get. So um, that led to then me asking you when I was creating an online course to help me with the very rough audio that I had. I don't think I had any actual video for the course, but you did a video intro, outro, music, graphics, just all kinds of things to hold the course very nicely. Became very proud of that. That then led me forward further into repurposing all that material into the book, Nightmares to Miracles, the book with a fair amount of editing, but it was fun to do. It was easy to do. There was something substantive with a beginning, a middle, and an end, a logic to it. And then with all of these collateral materials available, the worksheets, the course, the book, everything launched and operating, it was like, I need a space to talk about all of this and just experiment with how to describe it and make a hospitable home for me to talk about it and for people to join if they wanted to. So I checked in with you somewhat cautiously because I was like, maybe she's being overloaded with Dave's stuff, but would you be maybe perhaps sometime possibly interested in a podcast with me? Just as my vision of it was like as my sidekick on the call, like um, somebody to bounce things off of. So people wouldn't be just listening to me drone on and on about stuff. And you were like, yeah, I'm open. I'm open. Let's see how it goes. Let's. And then here we are in our sixth year, starting our sixth year. And can you believe that we're 4 months in to the new year already? It's like, wow. I mean, talk about a galloping calendar. But so, in any case, this is how we have been journeying together in the miracle of the process, right? And then the other benefits are that I think of myself, I mean, I'm fairly tech savvy with the things I need to do, but this is not my area. I don't have skill set in the thing aesthetically, making it pleasing, making it inviting. And you will take our raw footage from this Zoom call and then you'll edit it in different ways, intros, outros. You'll post it on YouTube. Very beautiful there. We've got a nice catalog of things we've done systematically and in an orderly fashion. You help to organize all of that, the way it looks, the way it feels. I just think it's so inviting, even if I do say so myself. Then we have an audio podcast, just the audio for people who don't want to be distracted by the video. Some people like the video because they like to see what's going on between the two of us interactively. And then for some people, they just want the written blog. They can read it in 2 minutes, skim it, scan it, get the essence out of it. So you do all these different things. And the blog, as I always say, comes out exceptionally compelling somehow. It's like, oh, is that us? Were we doing that? Okay, this is like on a whole nother. So anyway, and then I have things that I can give to another person who's on the team who then distributes it to the 10 or 11 different social media platforms we have. That whole thing is miraculous. Without the earlier pieces, the later pieces would not be happening, right? And just been a learning curve. And then you do your part so beautifully and seamlessly and consistently well. So anyway, I'm really proud of you. I'm proud of the work we do together. I'm proud that we're a team. I'm grateful that we have this miracle between us. It never grows old talking about. I'm feeling the chills now. I'm like, wow, right? All of this was teed up before I even knew I needed it. So anyway, enough of that on my blabbing away. But over to you for anything you want to say about your work and how you envision it, what you do for your clients, where people can find you, anything you want to say there.
Thank you, Dave, for that shout
Very
out. I
welcome.
really appreciate it. Yeah,
Really.
it's been a miracle working with you as well. And sometimes I go back and forth thinking, co-hosting podcasts is fun. Do I want to do this with more clients or do I just want to keep this to be like a Dave thing? And I don't know because Dave is just so great to work with. He's so easygoing and organized and on top of it, like so reliable. So it's been a blessing of an experience the past 5 to 6 years, and I don't think anybody else would be this fun to co-host with. So even just like with the baby coming and everything, and how open you are to that, and I don't plan on having the baby in the show, but I'm sure if it happened a time or two, you'd be like, well, we have a little miracle on today, and that would be
Yeah.
part of it.
Yes. Totally.
um,
Totally. So
Yeah,
it,
so thank you so much for the opportunity and for letting me, do the different things that I do because I do help with branding, I help with
yes.
digital product creation, and I also like getting on video. I have a
Mhm.
YouTube channel if people watching want to see more videos with just me. My channel is called Brittany New. That's my maiden name, and then my website is brittanynew.com, and that's where you can also get in contact with me. So thanks.
You're very, very welcome, and thank you for it just added. And in some ways, we're friends, we're family. With like you said, with the baby coming, it's like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, uh, just you're the mom, mama bear. You say what you want, what you don't
Mhm.
want, but it'll just be nice to know that our circle has expanded, just as it did with your husband, and
Mhm.
it's just an amazing. That's all part of the human part of the
Mhm.
miracle, right? It's like,
Mhm.
wow, you're pursuing the things that are part of your destiny and that you want to pursue, and then I get to watch all of that unfold, but in a very, like I say, very personal kind of. Oh yeah, we could be siblings even, right? Like the two of us, and it's like, uh, you have alluded to me as Uncle Dave for the
Yes,
baby,
Uncle
which I
Dave.
like. I
Mhm.
like that.
Good.
So, so again, I mean, it'll be fun. That'll all be part of the fun of the unfolding. So thank you for generously including that. for us. Um, so yeah, all right. So that's the miracle part of Brittany. And I think that, there's so many things we could talk about around that. Just one or two more things before we go to the lesson for today. So I think that uh, and I don't think of this often, but I'm feeling it today, and maybe because of the last show too. But I feel as though um, we're maybe by example showing what it's like to have a miracle culture, a miracle mindset culture, right? How it doesn't interfere with the practical things that we have as the agenda, which is every month we do the show and it gets distributed to different places. That's a bottom line kind of practical business objective. But within that process, we have this part of it, which is very personal between the two of us. And we get to talk about the good vibes from that. And I feel as though that's maybe an intangible, unspoken, undocumented part of miracle mindset, but it's the team believing in it and feeling it and experiencing it, right? And how you grow your organization and your enterprise, whether it's solopreneurship or something bigger, but we grow it with different people we're connected to, with whom we really vibe miraculously. And that's something I have with a lot of my clients, where we have this dynamic between us that is openly acknowledged as miraculous when we're doing stuff together. It's like, oh, wow. So I just wanted to sort of articulate that, see if you have anything else, not pressuring you for anything, but anything else, and then we'll go to the lesson for today.
Yeah, to add on to that and to quote you, you have your three keys to miracle success. So I feel like you just kind of unlocked a fourth key
Mm,
that I
mm.
don't think is in the other three because you have the practical key, but this kind of community key, I don't
Oh,
think you've actually honed in on that
good
before.
point.
And that is so true because I have that with other people in my network and in my friend group as well. Like when we get together, the ideas are just
Yes.
synergetic and synchronistic, and good things happen and come out of it. And the types of people that we meet when we're out together and things like that. It's so true.
That's an excellent, excellent point. More food for thought. I will reflect on that some more. Thank you for lifting that up and co-signing that you experience. You know what that is. Excellent. Thank you, Brittany. So, all right. So today's lesson, as we get into that, is lesson 105, and the headline goes like this: God's peace and joy are mine. God's peace and joy are mine. And um, I personally find that the key to unlocking this lesson fully is to understand the two approaches to giving and receiving that it's talking about, and that the course talks about a lot, right? So there are two ways of understanding giving and receiving. And I'll just read what this section says about this and then elaborate a little bit more and go on. So it says in paragraph 1 of the lesson, God's peace and joy are yours. Today we will accept them knowing they belong to us. That's God's peace and joy. They belong to us. And we will try to understand these gifts increase as we receive them. They are not like the gifts the world can give, in which the giver loses as he or she gives the gift. The taker is the richer by his loss, her loss. Such are not gifts, but bargains with guilt. Right? Um, Goes on to elaborate on this idea in paragraph 2. Then it says in paragraph 3, a major learning goal this course has set itself is to reverse your view of giving so you can receive. For giving has become a source of fear, and so you would avoid the only means by which you can receive. Accept God's peace and joy, and you will learn a different way of looking at a gift. God's gifts will never lessen when they are given away, they but increase thereby. Okay, one more paragraph in a moment, but the way that I usually think of this, my own sort of little um, hack for understanding this is if I have 10 oranges and I'm operating and I've mentioned this before, forgive me if this sounds very elementary to you, but on the scarcity side, that the course is trying to coach us out of, If I have 10 oranges and I give somebody five of my oranges, that person is five oranges richer and I'm five oranges poorer. That's in the scarcity channel. In this infinite divine abundance channel that the Course is encouraging us to tap into, if I have 10 oranges and I give somebody even all 10 of my oranges, I will be replenished with everything that the 10 oranges represent. There's an infinite wellspring of abundance that will keep supplying me with what the oranges gave me, and there's no loss. And actually, I set up good karma by giving those 10 oranges. I receive more of what those 10 oranges were connected to. So I think this is at its best the heart of tithing, right? It's like if I give $1,000 to my church, which teaches people how to enter into the kingdom of God more fully, the material wealth I gave will return to me in untold ways, as well as the benefit of having uh, provided for a system that teaches people how to fish spiritually for a lifetime. That will all come back to me abundantly multiplied. It's just it's a course principle for miracle mindset, right? So the course is very clear on this. The final part of all of this is that it's applying it to this concept to peace and joy, right? So the exercise for today is going to be about practicing how to give more peace and joy, especially to the people we consider to be enemies, right? Because the more we give peace, joy, forgiveness, release to the people we perceive as enemies, the more that we will receive peace and joy. It's the only way to get it, right? In abundance and full measure. So it says, I'll just read a little bit of practice and then I'll hand it over to you for any thoughts. And before we go to headlines for the day, today our practice periods will start a little differently. Begin today by thinking of those brothers and sisters who have been denied by you the peace and joy that are their right under the equal laws of God. Here you denied them to yourself, and here you must return to claim them as your own. Think of your enemies a little while and tell each one as he occurs to you, my brother or my sister, peace and joy I offer you, that I may have God's peace and joy as mine. Okay, so that's really sort of the part of the teaching. It's like any attribute that's a good attribute that we want more of in our lives, we want to give to people that we're just over with. And again, I always hate to add when we're doing any of these things that it doesn't mean we have to tolerate those people in our lives. It doesn't mean we have to hang out with them. It just means our natural tendency is to think of them as being liberated from whatever our most negative, unforgiving assumptions are about them, as an example. All right, Brittany, you've been very quiet and patient and attentive. Over to you for anything you want to say.
Yeah, I think this is great. I think it's crystal clear with your explanation. So thanks for explaining that so well.
Oh,
And yeah, we talk about the lighthouse brand on this show, how God gives us light, and then we are able to spread light, and then hopefully people that are receiving our light are also spreading light. So everything has like a chain reaction that applies here. Peace, joy, forgiveness is a big one. And you can see how this plays out practically when, especially if you're a leader and you're creating a culture in your organization of holding grudges, then what's someone going to do the next time you do something against them? They're going to feel compelled to hold a grudge too. So these things all have a chain reaction in the practical, but also in the spiritual as well. I'll never forget when my dad wanted to teach us this lesson. I don't know if he did it on purpose or by accident, but one time when I was little, we were at Dave and Buster's. Do you
oh
have
yeah.
Dave and Buster's in
Yeah, go
Florida?
ahead. Dave and
Yeah, so
Buster's. Okay.
we played for a little while. We weren't really playing to win or anything. We had gotten some tickets from the winnings that we had played with the games. And my dad says to my brother and I, like, let's give these tickets away to another kid. Let's not claim a prize. Let's just give them away. So we gave the tickets away. And we were about to leave. Within minutes, we received a big bag of tickets from a bigger kid who had been playing more. And
Whoa.
it was like instant karma. And we talk about that story often to this day. So my dad was like, oh, there you go, sowing and reaping. I wanted to teach you that. And I don't know, again, if he did it on purpose in that moment, but it was just so perfect. And we've referenced that story millions of times to this day. So,
Wow, what
mhm,
an amazing story.
mhm.
Like, yeah, thank you for sharing that. I've never heard that before, and I love it. It's like and so instant. And as children,
Mhm,
you can see it. It's
mhm.
like, oh wow,
Yeah.
with your parent kind
And
of,
it really stayed with me. Yeah, it
yeah,
really did stay with me. Yeah.
wow. That
Mhm,
reinforces it for us even more, right? Which is that acts of generous giving are for our benefit. And that's okay. It's okay. It
mhm.
doesn't have to be overly transactional, but we don't have to eliminate the transactional nature of it either, right? We
Right,
give to
right.
receive, we receive to give. It's a virtuous loop. And your story in real time just illustrates that so amazingly well. I love it.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing that. Love it.
Yeah, I sometimes I'm in a church where they're trying to get away from the prosperity gospel, they say, and then they're like, "Yeah, we're not giving to receive," but I like the a median kind of outlook where you're blessed to be a blessing. So
Sure.
it's not that you're giving to receive, it's that you're receiving to give,
Right.
which helps you to receive to give, and it's just like a cycle. So,
That's right.
mhm,
That's exactly right. And it's yeah, again, we've all been, I think, through a lot of different tortured things about giving and receiving and all of that. And there are some really bad examples of how that's used, and some really great examples of how it's taught and used. And your story again just really centers us about the miraculous moment to moment, real time reaping and harvesting, sowing and reaping, like you said. So thank you for that. Very, very cool. So we're gonna do the headlines part and then call to action, and then we'll be finished for today. So anything from the headlines you want to share for us today?
yeah, this month, I'm in the Netherlands currently, but over in Italy, just down the street from me. No, I'm just kidding. In Italy is the Winter Olympics going on, so yeah, that has brought in some controversy as people, debate about, oh, is this really harmful for the climate? All the money that goes into putting on these big events and all the snow that they have to kind of create to make these
Mm,
sports happen, and then
mhm.
also with Russia, Russia was banned from
All right.
participating this year because of the war in Ukraine. So it's important that, the reason we talk about these headlines, as Dave always says, is so that we can apply love and forgiveness and all of that to these situations. And yeah, we want world peace ultimately. So we have to be beacons of peace. And as we hear about these controversies, just apply and send peace and love out to all of these people involved.
It's a great one. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's because in its purpose, it's international in
Hmm.
nature, draws people from all around, but there are very potent views about climate change and on both sides. And again, as we always do with the headlines, it's not about the controversy and relitigating all the issues in the controversy, as you just described so well. It's about infusing it with peace. You know, whether we like the side and how they're arguing or we don't like it, there's something more fundamental and transcendent about all those people, which is they're entitled to peace from the divine. We're all created equal. And as we keep that as a focus, it just generates beautiful uh, karma coming back, following the pattern of your story, right? It's just a very simple formula for enhancing the good in the world. So thank you for that. Thank you, Abby. And I like what you said about just down the street from me. Holla, you know, we got the Winter Olympics. That's really cool. I love that. All right. So perfect. So yeah, and with our audience too, if there are things in the news that are bothersome to you or that you would like us to know, just drop us a line, you know, about things that you think that you would like to hear us give voice to, bringing to atonement or bringing them to peace or infusing peace with them. I just had that thought to invite you to share with us things that we might not be thinking about that are on your radar as an audience member. So we're almost at the end of our show for today. And Brittany, you usually help us to go into call to action or application or next steps. Anything you want to share on that before we finish?
Yeah, a good exercise is just to think about how you can give some of these things that you wish to receive, um, and just write it down. Like if you're craving love, if you're craving appreciation, acknowledgement, if you're craving words of affirmation or anything like that, you can just write it down and then intentionally try to give it to someone else today, just as a practice, and just observe and see if I mean, worst case, it should hopefully make you feel nice to do a good thing, and then best case, you actually get that return to you. So you could try that as a little practice today, as a little call to action. I'll try to do that as well. Yeah, that's a suggestion that I have. But anything else, Dave? Mhm.
Oh, I love it. That's perfect.
Mhm.
That is perfect. I love the simplicity of the exercise, the call to action, the application you just gave us. It every time you do it, it motivates me to do something like that in the day or the day coming day. So thank you. I think it's perfect. Yep. So, well, good. All right. So we're finishing up, and I'll see you, uh, Brittany, and our audience will hear from us again in the March show.
Mhm.
And by then, baby will be here,
Yeah.
and we'll see if you have any stories you want to share. Again, not no pressure. Just
I'm
if
sure I'll have something.
only if you
My
want
favorite
to,
story,
and
yeah.
you'll be in my prayers, and our
Thank
audience will
you.
be in our prayers too. So thank you for everything, Brittany, and
Thank
looking forward
you.
to seeing you again next time.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. Bye,
Bye,
Dave.
everyone. Thank you. Thank you.